Good morning, everybody. It's your guy, Derek Durden, who's going to be your host today for another great conversation with the guys on this Build Your Best Life podcast. Today, two great individuals who are going to share this time with us and give some very valuable information based off of their experience and their wisdom. First, Isaiah Rucker, you're a new guy to this platform. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Well, Derek, man, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me on. I have gotten the opportunity to be here with with Coach Deborah before, but I haven't had a chance to sit here with the guys and be able to have this conversation. So I really want to say thank you for inviting me and having this opportunity to sit down with like-minded individuals who look to inspire and make an impact in the lives of our nation, our communities, and our families alike. Yeah, man, my name is Isaiah Rucker Jr. I'm the founder and CEO of Unloaded LLC, where we focus on leadership development. We look to unload, unpack, unlock, and unveil every attribute and ability that you possess for success. And that goes for like a broad span, right? We can talk about leadership, and leadership has so many different areas, and it touches industries across every form. So we just kind of partner with everyone who shares our values. And once we partner with those individuals, we just help them build for success. So my biggest objective is to look at the unique you, help you develop your pie, which is your perspective, your insight, and your imagination, and present that to the world so you can create your own unique impact into this world. So that's what we do in a nutshell. We just enjoy what we do. We've been doing this for over 15 years. Unloaded has been around for the last within the last 5 years. And we're just excited to continue to make an impact, helping individuals get on stages to speak, helping individuals build their books and articulate their messages and things like that, being a brand expert in different areas, as well as helping them penetrate communities and build from the ground up.
Okay. Very impactful. And we have a regular that has been pouring into us over time here on this platform, none other than Coach Will Burn himself. Tell us a little bit about yourself for somebody who's just tuning in.
Okay, yeah, how you doing? And it's great to be here with you two guys, man. And this is a great platform. My name's Coach Dr. Wilbon. I've been with Coach Deborah. I want to say, shoot, since 2020. So yeah, I've been here for a minute. And I am a 24-year military veteran. Army veteran. I'm also a author of 5 books. I got my doctorate in education with my minor in educational leadership. I'm also a athletic coach and a mentor and a motivational speaker. And I'm just happy to be here with Derek and Isaiah. And we getting ready to do some stuff, man. And, buckle your seat because we getting ready to get into this thing.
Right. And myself, I am a motivational speaker and coach. And I just like to share platforms with you guys because every time y'all bring some unique information, a different perspective that allows the people who are actually watching to take something with them, just to talk. We want to make impact. We want to leave them with, let them take something with them that they get here. So today, the topic is young men without dads. Let me say that again. Young men without dads.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because this thing is so pregnant. This is really affecting not only the individual child, but households and communities. So with each one of y'all, let's start with you, Coach Wilburn.
Okay.
What is your idea when you hear young men without dads? What comes to your mind?
The first thing come to my mind is it's a sad situation. It's a sad situation because most people would love to have both of their parents in the house with them. Because as far as I'm concerned, when you got two parents in the house, it's very, very strong. It's very strong. Not saying that it can't be strong with a single female raising a son or a daughter, but with two minds, two people, two bodies, I think they'll get more out of that by being there. And then being a father or being a dad in the house, that would really, really help the upbringing of a young man if you have a young man in that house. And by not having a father there, I think that's you know, it's a problem in a way, because everybody wants to have a role model to model themselves after. And if you're a young man, of course, you want to model. Most young men like to be like their father. So by not having a father there, that is, something that can affect home. So when I hear, there's no father in a home, then I know, somewhere along the line, there's going to be some kind of friction, some kind of problem, something that needs to be rectified.
Okay. And Mr. Rucker, how about you?
Well, I always make everything personal straight off the bat. When I hear no father in the home, then I look at myself first, right? That's what I do with every question that I get. And I look at how it impacted me. So I didn't have my dad from 4 years old and up. And so I saw the difference in my life. A lot of people don't remember the younger ages, but I do remember those good times when dad was at home. And then I remember the turmoil and the ups and downs that I experienced when dad wasn't there. And so I think it's a tragedy. I speak with Coach Wilborn here, is that, it's a tragedy. It's a tough thing to deal with. Of course, it can be rectified with community and mentors and things of that magnitude. But ultimately, when I just think about it, I think about the 85% of the families in the United States, right? We think about how many families are actually being impacted, and what is that lasting impact? It opens a whole list of other questions when we talk about a father not being at home. And that's really where it hit home personally for me. But then when I asked the question outwardly and I started taking a look at the statistics, it's not just personal. Like it's something that's involved in not just our nation, but the world. And it's an epidemic right now. I think we got to put something in place, and we got to make some adjustments ourselves. I think it always starts with the nuclear family and how we represent it. And then we present that very well to others, and teach our youngins, man, teach our youth what it looks like and how to value family, and understand that role and responsibility of a father.
Definitely. And let's just roll right into the next question. Coach said that young men often wants to make their dads, look up to their dad as a role model. So
Right.
what happens when that dad doesn't have anything encouraging, doesn't have anything to uplift, does not pour into their son's or daughter's life? What happens when the father does not be a good father to the child? Let's start
Yeah,
with
that's
you, Isaiah.
Okay. Well, again, from personal experiences, we find it elsewhere, right? We look for it elsewhere. We look for that confirmation somewhere else. We look for that support somewhere else. With me, I kind of dove into the gang system. I got gang affiliated real quick at a young age, and not only that, when I got gang affiliated, it was something that I can take. It was an empty hole, like it was a void that was present. So gang affiliation didn't fill it, so I had to go to, when I went to college, I ended up trying to, get into fraternities. Fraternities didn't fill it. So when I went to school, I got associated with leadership organizations, and I kept on getting all these different relationships. I was trying to build these relationships that would fill the void, and they couldn't fill the void. And so, one of the things I realized is that not having that father present or pouring into you, and not having that father supporting you, can be very detrimental. It's not just a one moment situation. It can last with you and it perpetuate through your life, and then you can pass that down to other generations. And so when I look at it, not having that support is big. Again, I foster communities for that particular reason. Not having that person that can pour into you, give you wisdom, guidance. Again, that's why we have coaches. That's why we have mentors, people who would support us in that capacity. And it's really valiant individuals who say, "Hey, look, I'm gonna step up and stand in that position." I remember, people like coaches, even in high school, who would step up for me and my brothers, and they'll ring us in and give us some information, telling us things that we did not, and we never knew, or things that we never experienced, and we didn't have that information. And even would step in, take us hunting, put us in places where we could, develop and grow. So there's a lot of different components that come in place when that father is not supporting. There's a lot of different voids that take place when that father isn't present to, support and cheer them on. Just give me some good positive information and constructive criticism so I can actually be guided in the right direction. It lead to, prison for some. I was one of those individuals. I became a statistic. It leads to different other drugs addiction. I became one of those individuals. It leads to so many different individual things from one specific situation. And so my mom always told me the seed never comes up the same way it went down. So when a father leaves, he don't know exactly what's going to grow, and different environments going to produce different things for individuals.
For sure. And we have none other than Dr. Levette that has joined us. And as you know, today's topic is about young men without dads. Isaiah and Coach have really been dropping some valuable seeds. How about you just go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about what happens when a father does not encourage his son? How does that affect his development?
Okay, first of all, I apologize for coming in a little late. My computer decided that we wanted to do an update right as I was logging in, so it threw me off. But nevertheless, I'm here, and I'm glad, as always, I'm always honored to be here. I'm Joseph Levette. Currently, I'm retired military, 32 years military, retired. I'm currently serve as a chaplain at a level 2 trauma center here at Memorial Hospital here in Jacksonville, Florida. And hey, I tell you, we came through okay on the storm. So it wasn't no storm issue that caused me to come in a little late. It was actually just a computer issue. But I'm married to the lovely Tony Levette. We have 4 kids and 10 grandchildren with one on the way.
Wow.
And I tell you, I just enjoy life. I love platforms like this because it gives us a chance as men to be an encouragement and to, help other young men as they're coming up and starting to develop and they growing into men. So I'm excited to be here. And the question was, can you say that question one more time, Derek? I apologize.
What is the impact of a father not encouraging the child?
Oh, yeah, that question right there, hard. Anytime you don't have no impact on your child's life, it's gonna affect them. Anything if you're not teaching them as they're growing, it's gonna affect them. It's gonna have a major impact on them because as they become even in teenage life, they're not gonna know how to handle certain situations. If they don't know how to handle situations when they're angry. When they little, they throw tantrums. But when they big, they start acting out. They start fighting. They start getting in trouble in school, and then their grades suffer. So it's like a domino effect if you're not there for them. So you not only just have to be there, but you got to be there and you got to be engaged. Every man got to be engaged in the life of their son coming up because in the way the world is right now, it will swallow them up really quick. I mean, it used to be 16, 17 years old age when you start acting out. No, they're acting out at 10 now. So you got to have your hand on them. I have a grandson who his father's not, actively in his life, but I keep him kind of close to me. And we talk all the time. And, because I want to make sure that he don't become that product of the environment that most people succumb to. So that's what I would say. It's impactful how you raise your son, and it's impactful sometimes how they turn out. Now, they can when they get grown, they can make their own decisions. But it's about you'll get a good feeling knowing you raised them right. If they make bad choices and bad decisions because they want to fit in the world, then that's on them. But one thing about you is you will feel good about the fact you raised them with good values and with good tools to be a successful man.
Yes, sir. Very, very, very valuable information. I want to change it up a bit because for some reason it seems like we're using the word dad and father interchangeable. So, Coach Wilburn, can you please help us understand? Give us your definition of father and dad.
okay, a lot of people may have different perceptions, different meanings of, father and dad. And it really boils down to, you know, what both really does for the individual. So for as far as I'm concerned, a dad is someone that's consistently and persistently there for their kid. That's what I've always perceived a dad to be. A father to me is someone, that had the child, but not probably is not there at all times, but comes there, periodically, be there for their son whenever they feel like they want to be there. But for me, I feel like a dad is someone that's loving, that's there all the time, that take care of their kids with, meaningful force, and that's, presently always there in their life. That's what I perceive a dad to be versus a father.
And Isaiah, let's see what can you build on that and kind of give us a little more of what your perspective between dad and father?
Yeah, so I like how Coach led in with that because he said his perspective, right? A lot of the way we virtually define father and dad. See, my experience is a little bit different. Growing up, I had a situation. Again, my mom and dad, they separated around 4 years old. We lived in a trailer in the country, man, and I'm the baby out of 5 kids. I was called to the back. There was a big argument going on in the back room, and I was called to the back, and my mom and my dad was arguing. And I remember my dad grabbed my arm, and then my mom grabbed my arm, and they asked me a question. They said, "Who do you want to be with, your mother or your father?" And I was like, it was at that age, it was pretty crazy. But I think I made the greatest decision, or said the best answer I could possibly muster up at the time. I said, "I want you both," and I put that back on their slate. Right? I put the responsibility back on them instead of on myself. And I think I'm very okay with that decision. But my dad, in that argument, I remember my mom asking the question, "Are you going to be a father? Or are you going to be a dad?" And my dad said he was going to be a dad. And when he said he was going to be a dad, I remember everything that took place after that, right? And everything that took place after that was that my dad wasn't there. And so my perspective of a father is someone that is a provider, someone that is there supporting, someone is there who is giving structure and order, somebody who's giving guidance, someone who's present. So, a lot of times, and I'll give you a little bit more of my experience and background. Like, my wife, I'm married in, I have a little daughter. I have a daughter. She had a daughter when I married. And, when I married in, I took on the responsibility of fathership for my daughter, my eldest. And when I did that, all of a sudden the dad popped up. And, he got a little upset. He didn't want me to be called father. He didn't want me, we even went into the legal system. They wanted me to be called a bonus dad. And I sat down with the judge and the lawyers, and it was like, we need you to change the way you're being referenced. And I told them, I said, listen, there's a difference between a father and a dad. They said, why? Well, why? I said, I didn't make this decision. My daughter made the decision to call me father because she already has a dad. And I said, that's why they call them baby daddies, these individuals who's not present, but they made the baby. They're sperm donors and things like that. So I told the lawyers, and I said, hey, listen, distinguishment. I'm present. I'm here. I'm supporting my baby. I'm making sure she has everything she needs. I'm making sure she's fed, clothed, home, everything that she possibly need and have need of. I support her in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I help her learn, educate, and things of that magnitude. I said, and this individual is not even present. We don't even talk to this guy. He won't even, work with us on an amicable level. And so when I look at father and dad, I'll take it from a different stance, but it's virtually the same idea that Coach Wilburn has presented. It's just the labels change, And I said, so if we look at the identity of the individual we're talking about, then we see that the characteristics is what we're really after, right? That cultivates that child versus the label, because we can really be misguided on labels all the time, right? I hear dad all the time, fathers all the time, and then we can get all amped up and mad. Now I'm the dad or I'm the father, and we want the label, but we don't want the responsibility. So I lean more closer to the responsibility than the label, like Coach said, because it's very important for us to understand those responsibilities. He talked about a lot of qualities that an individual have or possess to be that individual who lead, guides, and cultivate a fatherhood or family or a child's life. And so I lean with those versus just the title. But, you know, if I was to say it, I would say father in my own experiences, simply because I got biblical, you know, background. I'm looking at the Bible. I'm looking at things like that. Father has always been the nature that I lean towards. But I can definitely see what Coach is saying when you say a dad, because those qualities are interchangeable.
Okay. And Dr. Levette, Isaiah had one perspective. Coach Wilburn had another perspective. Can you like shed light on that and share what your perspective is and maybe bring the two together, or just bring some clarity?
Okay, man, that they did an awesome job. But I'll say this to add to what they just said is, that word father and dad can be interchangeable when they're in the home, but they can also still be separate in the home, because oftentimes we think just because the dad is in the home that's gonna make them a father. The dad that's in the home, he's there. Yeah, he's there. He's there every day. He working. He doing all of the stuff that dads do, but he's not doing what a fathers do. A father is about nurturing. If we go back and Isaiah brought it up good when he talked about biblical principles. When we go back and we look in the Bible, Jesus even referred to God. He referred to God, his father, as his father is his father. And that was because it was his father that was providing the covering over him. And when we provide a covering over our children, we're fathers. When we walk in that role of true fatherhood, we've provided a covering, which means I'm not gonna let anything get to them that don't come through me.
Yeah.
And that's how we live. If we live our biblical principles in fathering, just like the Bible said, we won't have no problem. We cover the child. We don't look. Can't nobody get to me lest they go through the Father. The
Right.
devil can't get to me if he don't go through the Father. He got to go through the Father. He got to go through Jesus Christ before he can get to me.
Yeah.
So that's the same. We have to think in that same mindset and same concept that, when we're raising young men, we got to do it from that biblical standpoint and use those principles to because those are the tools. We already got the tools. We don't have to be given the tools. We have them. They're there. And if we're raised in that environment now, oftentimes, kids don't get raised in an environment where the father is biblically sound. Or he don't go to church. Now, growing up, I'll give you the quick little background. Growing up, my father didn't go to church, but he was a good father. He was a good dad. He didn't go to church. But somewhere, someone had instilled some type of principles in him, because he did those things, not just with me and my brothers. He took us to football games. He would take us places, and we would go and do things. He would take us out, even though I ain't even like golf, but he liked golf, and he would go out there, but he would take us out there. But we just like running, going and getting the balls. Yeah. And we'll beat the balls and throw them and everything while he's trying to play, but so you don't always have to be Christian, but you got to have some form of them Christian principles from the Bible. And so I think, based on what my two brothers was just saying, it's you can be a dad and without being a father, and you can be a father without being a dad.
Mm.
You can be outside the home and be a father, and you providing, you spending time in a sense, but you ain't that kind of that dad that's in the home. Most kids are gonna refer to that father, that male figure. They're gonna refer to them as dad when they're in the home.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're outside the home, they'll say, "That's my father."
Father. Yep.
Yeah.
So bridging those two together, I totally agree with what Isaiah said and what Coach said. Those two you said it even at the beginning, they can be interchangeable depending on how you run in the label. Yeah. So that's kind of my take on it, to kind of break up a bit.
Dr. Levette, you might have came in a little late, but you came right on time with that one. And that was so powerful. You took two different perspectives and brought them together and made it clear. It's not about the actual title. It's about the responsibilities.
That's
What are
it.
Yeah.
you doing? What roles are you filling? How are you helping and bringing forth and pouring into these children's lives? That is what's most important. Like
That's
I
right.
said, we cannot focus on the titles. We got to focus on the responsibility. And you also said something, Dr. Levette, about a man who's being in the house, paying bills, doing everything that he's supposed to be as far as being a provider, but he's not being nurturing. He's not showing up to kids' basketball game, not showing up to recitals, not showing up to the and just really being there for them. Even though he's
Yeah.
providing, putting food on the table, he's not pouring into the kids. So is it better, Isaiah, to have no dad at all? Or is it better to have that absent dad that's actually inside of the house?
Well, I think the terminology "absent dad" inside the house is just a hyperbole, man. Like I don't think you can really put that together. If you got a dad in a home and he's offering any of those items as a value, we see astronomically the difference between the households without someone present physically versus the one that is present, whether it's someone who's great or not so great. And so, ideally, you would want somebody who has all these qualities, but we don't come equipped with them all. And so we don't come with the knowledge of them all. Let's say that. We come equipped with them, but we just don't come with the knowledge of them all. So a lot of times we have to link up with people and go to services to help develop ourselves. And I think that's important. I think that's why we have these kind of conversations right here, is because we all have different experiences, but when we come together and we put this in front of other individuals who are really trying to develop themselves as dads or develop themselves as fathers, or just have that whole caliber of characteristics to be that man present at home to do what's necessary for the family. I think it's very, very important that if someone is present and they're willing to grow, whether up, down, left, right, I think it's important to have somebody present. Now, somebody's not there. If you're talking about an absent father, I would think that's a person who's just sitting at home, not working, not providing, just eating up resources, not nourishing, not supporting. I would think of an individual like that when I say absent father. I couldn't lean to the fact that this perspectives of both of the doctors here present said having someone who may just support or having somebody who may just have provisions and things of that magnitude. I can't lean with one of those because those individuals are still active, right? They're still active in some degree, but the individual that's present, that's eating up resources and not putting back, that's not nourishing, that's not developing, that's not encouraging, that's not empowering and making an impact in the family to reverberate into the community. I think that individual is an absent father. He might as well not even be in the house.
Okay, great. And Dr. Levette, is it better to have a quote unquote absent dad or no dad at all within the household?
Well, I'd say this: being what's considered an absent dad, because you can be absent from the home and still be a dad. You can be in the home and be absent from being a father. So those two things can be interchangeable. But I will say this: being someone that is when we start talking about being absent means you ain't there. That means you're not there. You're not there. So if you can be in the home and be not there. You can be outside the home, and I talked about that earlier. You can be in the home and be absent just as much as you can outside the home and be absent. I know some brothers that they are excellent fathers. They're great fathers, and they're absent outside the home, but they're absent in the life. So it depends on how you use the term absent, because absent, if you're there, you're there. But if you somebody who don't do anything, you don't pay child support even. If you don't even pay child support, you absent. You don't pay child support, you ain't there like you say, you're not going to them games and going to those different things, the functions that they're part of, because to me, that's what kids look up to. Mm-hmm. Kids look up to whatever is important. If you show interest in what's important to them, that is what that shows them that you're there. So even if you're not in the home and but you coming across town through traffic to pick your son up to make sure he get the baseball practice or football practice, that's saying a lot. That's what he gonna remember most, and that's what's gonna help him. So, and I've seen where there's a man in the home and a father outside the home. The father on the outside of the home is doing more than the dude that's just the freeloader that's in the house. I'll just say,
That's right.
I still gave him a good title, but I'm gonna call him what he is. He a freeloader. If you got a freeloader sitting in there in the house, and he just like Isaiah said, he just sitting up there eating up all the groceries and running up the light bill and the water bill, but he's not contributing anything. Then it happens. It causes a tension because the one outside the home is doing all they know to do. And then you got this joker inside the home thinking he the king of the castle.
Come on.
He thinking he the king of the castle. So that young boy or young man, they got to deal with that.
We need some people to hear this.
They got to deal with that. So you got to be able that father got to be able to, that's why we got to be discernible too. And know when our kids are struggling and going through in the home, because they may not say everything outside the home. They may gonna tell you that dysfunction that's going on in the home. So you got to be discernible and know when your kids' expressions change or when their moods change without reason, and then pick up on that and you talk them through that. So that's my point. Let me be quiet.
You don't step on a lot of toes.
Okay, Dr. Wilburn, we're gonna go to you with the same question, and then I need you guys to get in your mind some tips that you would give the single mothers that are watching. So Dr. Wilburn, go ahead and
they don't pretty much said everything, but I'm gonna give you quick examples. Okay, I've been coaching sports since 1984. Okay, and the reason why I'm bringing this example up is because a lot of the kids that I have coached didn't have a father in the home. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, when they always refer to me, they always say he's like a second dad. He's like a second dad. I can come to him with my problems. I can talk to him, So a lot of that is going on in the world today. And we don't know what's going on with these kids at home. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, you got these men that just kick these kids to the curb and they don't know what's going on with them. It could be some things that's going on in the home. Maybe they don't have a father at home. Maybe they don't have a mother at home. But the thing is, just like Dr. Levesque said, we have to be very, very concerned about what's going on, with our kids, and mainly the young men, because I've seen a lot of different attitudes, different personalities. Yes. And these are generally good kids. They're good kids, but they're not getting the proper guidance. They're not getting the proper respect. They're not, no one is listening to them, so we have to be very, very, alert, very concerned, about what's going on. And then my second example is I had a great dad or father per se, but I've never seen my father that much when I was at home because he was always working. He was always working. And I do know that for a fact because we were very well taken care of. We had clothes, we had food. We didn't have to worry about where we had to stay, but we didn't see him that much. I think we seen our father mainly on the weekends, more so during the weekdays because he worked so long. And I played sports, and my father have never, bless his soul, he's deceased. He's never seen me play basketball one game. And I played 4 years in high school. He never came to one of my games. But that didn't make him a bad father. That didn't make him a bad dad. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people used to, talk trash to me. You ain't got no father. We ain't never seen your father. Evidently you don't have one. He don't come to your games and stuff like that. But that does not make him a bad father. You know what I'm saying? So I won't say my father was absent in the home. It was just that he had to take on other responsibilities to take care of us. So you can still have a father that per se that's absent in the home, but still a great dad.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say.
for
That's
sure.
good. That's good.
Yeah, his presence was felt not only in his physical, but what he was able to provide. That's a different way to actually express what you just said.
Exactly.
Man,
Exactly.
look, that's big too, doctor. Because like one of the things I realized when you was talking is that, man, the demand on a father, people don't really understand it.
Right.
At most levels, we just think that, hey, man, this guy got to pick up whatever, whatever
Right.
we putting down, he needs to pick it up. And for you to have that kind of grace for your dad, man, is special.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of
most
people hold that against them, right? Some people
Right.
can hold it against their dads, but they didn't. But the gratitude that I heard while you was expressing that, because of what was supplied for you, the provision and the support and the respect and all those different things, all those components created this valuable person for the next generation. You see what I'm saying?
appreciate that.
So
Appreciate that. Most definitely. I was a product of my environment. I'm gonna be honest with you. I came straight from the streets in
yeah,
Washington, D.C. And the thing is, it was like 6 of us, 6 boys, and it was rough out there. But at the same time, my father instilled in me, you are responsible for what you do. You go out there and do something crazy, you're gonna suffer the consequences. So it wasn't like he still wasn't carrying that whip or whatever.
Right.
Even though he wasn't around as much, my father could look at us hard and we would cry.
yeah,
That's how much impact that he had in that house. That's how much authority he had in that house, although we didn't see him that much. But if my mom was to tell me, wait till your dad get home, man, I beg her. I beg, please don't. I'd rather for you to whip me.
Right.
So
Right. And that unfiltered conversation right there, that's when it becomes authentic. And you sharing, and Isaiah, you being so vulnerable. And because there's somebody out there that's going through what y'all went through. That vulnerability like open up a room for connection. So I appreciate y'all both. And also Dr. Levette, what you brought is very, very impactful also. So
Real
as we
life.
wrap it, as we wrap it up, Dr. Levette, give us some tips for the single moms that are raising sons to help them build their best life.
well, I'm gonna say something that y'all know me. I'm gonna say something, but it's gonna sound a little tight, but it's gonna be true and it's gonna be very helpful. I would say primarily to a single woman, if you got a man that's in your son's life, and they're doing what they're supposed to do, they're coming and doing the best they can. They may not hit every mark, but they hitting pretty much most of the marks. Then let them be the father. You can't try to be the father in the home and then let the father be the father when they got him. You can't be bashing them just because your relationship didn't work out and they're trying their best to be the best father that they can. Because if you do that, what you're going to do is you're going to create a sense of confusion in your son. And he's going, and because the son going to love their mama. Hey, mama, I love my mama.
yeah,
But there's also a respect for a dad. And you are hinder that respect, not only for that, but it further in life causes them hinder their respect for authority when they get older. And that's those things that get them in trouble when they get older because they don't know how to respect authority. Yeah. So I say bridge, if you got a man that's excuse me, if you have a man that's really engaged in their life, let them do what they do and you support them and them trying to and that same thing, like what Dr. Wilburn was saying, if that hey, I'm gonna call your dad. When they get in trouble, something going on, I'm gonna call your dad. Sometimes my daughter, if my grandson get in a little summer school, she'd be like, I'm going to call your grandpa. Your grandpa
they don't want that.
They don't want that. So because one, they don't want to let you down too. And then they have a level of respect for you. But they know you're going to come at them and you're going to try because you want to get the situation straightened out. And oftentimes, I just talk to my grandson. I don't yell at him. I don't tell him, this and that. I'm going to come down there, throw you across the street. I don't do none of that. I just talk to him and I get his feelings. What made you do that? What made you say that? Or what happened? What happened leading up to it? And most of the times, almost every time now, my grandson, He's very honest with me. He's very honest. He'll tell me exactly what happened. And he'll say, what he did and what he didn't do. So I would say to mothers, be supportive of the men you have in your life. Now, if they in the home and they ain't pulling their weight, call them to the carpet. Say, yo, bro, that's your son. I need you to spend more time with him. I need you to do more with him. He can't be around me all the time because that's going to cause some other confusion. I need you to make, you need to step up. So if you're a single mother, before you invite another man into your life, and I mean through marriage primarily, but however you bring them into your home, make sure that they have the qualities of a man. Because it is not, that's gonna go back to question number one. That's gonna cause an impact problem. Because they may start looking at that guy, what he doing and what he, especially if he out there hustling and slinging and all of that, gang banging. That's where he might gravitate to that, because he may think it's something in there. Especially if he see that man bringing in a bunch of money in the house, he be like, oh, what he doing? He bringing all this money and taking care of us. That's not the way we take care of young. So I would say to women, be careful who you have around your son or sons. Be careful who you bring around them. If you want a good role model, find a good role model. If you don't have one at the time, find you a good role model, a mentor, someone that can help guide and shape them, and you'll be all right.
Okay.
That's good stuff.
Dr. LeBet said some very impactful things.
Yes,
he said to the single mother, make sure you vet your man. Isaiah, what are some of the qualities that a single mother should look for before she allows that man? What are some of the steps she needs in order to vet? What are your thoughts as far as the vetting process that a single mother needs to go through before she allows a man into her household?
Well, I don't think there's a process for it, to be honest. I think they need to be able to recognize what a man looks like. And that's really tough for our women in this age. It's hard for them to recognize what a man look like. So my biggest thing for a single mother, because they're not going to be, I'm not saying that they're not capable. I'm just saying that there's going to be a lot of deception with men, and there's going to be a lot of lack of information on the women's side concerning some of these men. So one of the biggest things I would say is find a community. I can't stress this enough. Find a community. Don't go out there and try to do it by yourself. I know they got this strong independent woman thing that's marching out there, circulating through the mindsets. It's a generational thing. Got to break that. But find a community. And I'm not talking about a community of women. Find a community of men. Find some mentors. Find some organizations who are supporting young men. And actively engage those organizations. There are values that a lot of these organizations represent, and you got to look at those values and see if those values align with yours. And if you see that those values align with yours, you can make better decisions on where you place your child. And that's really big. Now, when we're talking about relationships, I think Dr. Levesque covered that very well. When we're talking about, prospecting and things in that magnitude, having somebody come into your son's life, or if you already have somebody in your son's life, how to cultivate that relationship. I think that's important. But if you don't have that and you're like, hey, I'm done with men right now, I just want to develop, I want to heal. I think it's important that you find a community for your child. Find some place where your son can go develop. Find an uncle who's willing to take him under the wing. Have that discussion. Be comfortable with being vulnerable and tell him, hey, look, I can't do this by myself. You are my brother. You are my dad. You are my uncle. I need your support with my son. There are things that we cannot do as women to offer our sons. And so we really need that dynamic and that balance to make sure our children are getting all the proper things as they grow up. This is the balance that we're missing in our communities right now. This is the balance we're missing in our society right now. We're seeing the scale tip, and what happens is we're starting to see that 75% of fatherless homes in drug abuse. Our youth are they're running away from something, or they're running to something because they are missing something. So we really got to cultivate environments, and that is in a community, whether it's my community, your community. Derek, I remember you having a conversation like, hey, why did we let some of these things happen to our women? Where was our man at? We have to really put ourselves in position. And, having these discussions is great. but until we organize and activate, it's going to continue to look like it looks. But the responsibility, I can't go and knock on this woman's house nowadays. You know, back in the day it was like that, but I can't just go knock down your door and say, hey, give me your son. You know, I'm finna go take him for a walk. We're gonna go on a drive and things like that. But there's communities who build relationships with families who do those things, who partner with you, and then, hey, look, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna pick up your son at this time. We're gonna go do this. These are things that are there and are present. I think awareness is very important. I think sometimes our women think that is not present, that there's nobody there to help and there's nobody to support. And that's absolutely wrong, because there are multiple organizations, small ones and large ones, some local and some national, who can support a mother who is looking to really develop their sons. And like I'm talking about, really develop their sons with some guidance, with the respect levels, with education, all those different things, even with the right type of, give them the right mannerisms, stand strong in different situations and circumstances, value-based decision-making. There's so many different things. And so when you ask that question, Derek, I really think it's very important that we look at community and our women, moms out there, single moms, even moms with husbands who's not performing at the greatest level, right? I would again say cultivate what he is doing well, and then try to supplement it. Be there, help him understand that some of these other things are needed as well. And if he can't provide that, sometimes we just need to make sure we outsource and get into a community can. We won't always have all the resources, women. I promise you, we won't always have everything. But one of the things I do know is that community, a real community, will make everything common, right? They will make everything common. They will make those things available to you. And it's not always monetary. We're talking about those social, economical things that make an impact on a high level, So I would say that would be my input, Derek, is that, we can build communities, or, if the mom could find a community for their youth, a safe community. Do your due diligence. You are a mom. I know you will. But it's important that you find a community that will build and cultivate your son the way you desire to see him and reflect in this world.
Okay. Coach Wilburn, when Isaiah first started, he said that when it's hard for women to have that perspective of what a real man is.
Okay.
In today's time, women have a lack of a role model of what a man is. There's a lack of an example of what a real man is in today's time.
Right.
For the single mother, shed light on how she can get around that lack of an example.
You know what? And I'm going to put a spin on this for everybody. And this is for the single women, that's raising young men. Okay. First of all, you should maintain an open, communication with your son. Okay. That's the first thing. And the second thing, and this goes back to from the, beginning of time, just because a man is not there in the house with your son does not make it his fault. So make sure you let him know that it's not his fault. That's the second thing. Now, this is the big one right here. You have some great men that, although they're not in the house with their kids or whatever, it has nothing to do with that person. Let him be a father to his kid. Let him be a father to his kid, because we got so many women out here, and it's not for everybody. So do not take this to heart. But for the ones that are watching, and this is you got some great fathers and dads that's not in the house, and you're not allowing them to maintain a relationship with their son. Okay? Don't do that. Let them maintain a relationship with their son, because what happened between you two has nothing to do with that kid. Has nothing to do with that kid, but they feel like it is. Okay? Yeah. It's some good men out there that's not being allowed to be a father or a dad to a kid that's at home with mom. So the spin I'm putting on this is that just because they're not there does not make them a bad dad or a bad father. Give them the opportunity, give them the chance to show their kid that, you know, yes, I am a good father. Yes, I am a good dad. What happened between me and your mom has nothing to do with our relationship. I love you just that much, but I want to be in your life. And single ladies, let them do that. Because there's some
Whoa.
good men out there that's not in that house.
Yeah, that's powerful. And today's conversation has been one of the most authentic, most vulnerable conversations that I've been a part of with Conversation with the Guys. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Y'all brought something valuable and impactful that these single mothers, these sons, and everybody who's been watching can take something and just add it to their lives. And before we go any further, I do want to pay our dues. Shout out to Coach Deborah for having this platform. Deacon Dan, who's out on the Effective Living cruise with our none other Ricardo Miller, whose birthday was yesterday. He just turned 49. They
Oh,
are
happy birthday, oh man.
Have a
Oh
good
man.
day, bro.
and all three of those individuals who are part of this platform, they have a great impact. And we look forward to them coming back next month and hopefully even sharing a little bit about what happened on the cruise. And so with that, guys, man, this has been so impactful, informative, and I thank y'all for each and every piece of advice y'all was able to give. Make sure everybody who watching, make sure you get the Build Your Best Life book. Also, there you go, right there, and make sure y'all here next month for another valuable episode of Conversation with the Guys.